New Spirit Academy player breaks into top tier. Liquid invited to Blast despite crashing from the qualifiers. Huge tournament operator went bankrupt, and more Blast bounty matches. Hello there friends, it's CS2 News Hub. Without further ado, let's get straight to it. We shall kick off today's episode with one of the wildest events we've seen in a while. Last time we told you about MongolZ opening their training facility to fans during the online stage of Blast Bounty, so anyone could go and watch the players. Well, the Brazilians said, "Hold my caipirinha." They're taking it to the next level by hosting a tournament on an actual aircraft carrier, the IEM Atlantico. The event will feature 4 teams: Imperial, Red Canids, and Sharks, battling out for $44,000. And as you might know, South America isn't really new to unconventional venues, because previously Argentina held a CS tournament inside a subway station. But, well, an aircraft carrier? It's next level. Staying on the topic of tournaments, the first participants of Fissure Playground Season 2 has been revealed. And if last season already had some solid names like Astralis and FURIA, this time things are looking way more stacked. So far, the lineup includes Astralis, Aurora, Falcons, FURIA, G2 and Virtus.pro, although we're still missing giants like Team Spirit or Vitality. But hey, maybe this is Falcons' real chance to finally shine with their new roster. Quick reminder, last season it was Tyloo who took the trophy, pulling off a 3-1 upset in the grand finals against Astralis. Hey guys, before we jump to the next news, let me just take a minute to tell you about our friends at ForceDrop. They're one of the oldest and most trusted case opening websites out there. These guys have been in the game for over 9 years. Whether you're into free cases, super cheap ones, or rare and risky drops, they've got it all. There are also tons of game modes to check out, battles, contracts, and my personal favorite, Upgrade, where you can turn a basic skin into a knife. They also run constant giveaways for those who deposit, with some seriously juicy prizes up for grabs. Plenty of deposit options too, including crypto. And if you use crypto, you will get an extra 3% bonus. And here's the best part, we've got an exclusive promo code for you, News Hub. Enter it on the site or just click the link in the pinned comment, and you will get a 40% bonus to your deposit. Top tier drops and instant cash outs. That's what ForceDrop is about. Check it out and see for yourself. And while we're on topic of invites and events, we have to talk about Team Liquid's unbelievable luck. You might remember that we recently covered their latest low point, losing to Virtus.pro's Academy team in the Blast London qualifiers and failing to make it through. Well, it turns out fate had other plans. The Mongols weren't able to secure their visas for the UK, so they're out, and Liquid are stepping in to take their spot. Why Liquid? That's the big question. They're currently ranked number 24 in Valve's official standings, which makes the choice pretty questionable. Maybe they were just the first team available with valid visas, or maybe, this is likely though, it's because Liquid had long-standing ties with Blast. You know, they had been part of the ecosystem for years. And let's not forget, Blast has a bit of a reputation when it comes to how they treat their inner circle teams. Case in point, remember when they let Astralis play with Cadian even though he joined after the roster lock? Yeah, you get it. Maybe it's not about rankings at all, and maybe it's just Blast doing what Blast does best, looking out for their friends. And since we're talking about tournaments, we've got some bad news from the TO side of things. Recently, one of the organizers from Middle East officially went bankrupt and pulled out of the CS2 scene. We're talking about Yalla Compass, the TO that had pumped serious money into the tier 1.5 scene through massive prize pools. They originally planned a big LAN event in Qatar, but it ended up being moved online. Several teams dropped out, largely due to scheduling conflicts with the major qualifiers in Austin. That shift, combined with poor timings, seemed to have dealt a final blow to their financials. Right now, Yalla reportedly owes nearly $1 million in unpaid prize money, and among those still waiting is is the MongolZ, who won their event last year but never received the promised $200,000. This collapse comes alongside rising concerns in the scene, with rumors that multiple TOs have begun laying off staff to brace for what many fear is the bursting of the esports bubble. What do you think, guys? Is it gonna collapse? Tell us in the comments below. Alright, enough with the doom and the gloom, let's talk about something actually worth celebrating. The viewership stats of IEM Cologne are in, and this year's event has shattered previous records. The tournament racked up a massive 35.2 million hours watched, making it the second most watched event of the year, right behind the major. It averaged 428,000 viewers, with a peak audience of 1.13 million. The number of broadcast channels doubled compared to last year, which is a huge step up in global coverage. And how about this? During the quarterfinals, nearly 100,000 people watched the MongolZ on the Mongolian stream alone. That's roughly 3% of the entire country's population. Compared to previous editions, this IEM Cologne absolutely crushed it in terms of viewership, and just imagine what's coming next year, because Cologne is officially hosting the next major. That's gonna be awesome. Now, on a side unfortunate note, zweih's account has been stolen, and I remind you he's a champion of IEM Cologne, the new player of Team Spirit. According to reports, some unknown attackers managed to gain access, though no further details have been shared yet. It's still unclear if zweih has managed to recover his account. And you know what, guys? It's not the first time something like this happened in, like, last month. Remember when MongolZ got hacked while playing on non-official DM servers? Although Valve helped him quickly, and something tells me zweih will have the same treatment. Because, you know, he's gotta be back on the server for the next Blast Bounty matches. Speaking of Team Spirit, we can't ignore their academy roster, which continues to produce promising talent. Most people already know about Dunk and Kyosuke, but how about Heroic's new Opper? Wait, what does Heroic have to do with Spirit Academy? Right, guys, we've got some news, unfortunately. Roughly a month after making changes to their main lineup, Heroic decided to bench Grix, citing a mismatch in playstyle expectations. In the official announcement, the team said that they couldn't find common ground with the sniper, and later Grix himself confirmed that both Heroic and coach Tobies had different expectations from what he could deliver. His replacement is Alkarenn, straight from Team Spirit Academy, the ex-teammate of Kyosuke. He's joining on loan until the end of the year with an option to buy out, and he will be making his debut at the Esports World Cup. For Blast Bounty though, Heroic will be fielding Scrub, another Academy player. Stat-wise, Alkarenn isn't miles ahead of Grix in ratings or impacts, but maybe his playstyle is just a better fit for Heroic's system, I guess, apparently. Anyways, we will find out soon enough when he hits the server at EWC. But guys, what do you think? Was it too soon to make changes after just 1 month? Or were Heroic correct to pull the trigger early? On a side note, didn't Heroic know how Grix played before signing him? Anyways, drop your thoughts in the comments below. The situation seems kinda crazy. When Grix was benched, the community was quick to assume that it was due to Heroic's underwhelming results. And, you know, speaking of underperformances this year, few teams have struggled more than Virtus.pro. Recently, Perfecto shed some light on what's really going on inside the team. According to him, the biggest issue is that VP simply aren't playing as a unit. There's a serious lack of synergy and cohesion on the server. Once the team realized that, they decided to take a step back and actually spend a few days completely offline. No PCs, only team bonding. Feels like they're just trying to pull off a Falcon's move, channeling some of the Sonic, Lars Robel style mental reset. Whether or not it'll work, we'll have to wait and see. But I gotta be honest with you guys, we're already seeing the first signs of Virtus.pro's team building paying off. We shall continue with Blast Bounty matches, and day 2 kicked off with Virtus.pro against MIBR. It all started on Train, MIBR's pick, and VP had no trouble winning the first half 9-3. MIBR tried to respond round, but luck clearly wasn't on their side. At one point, Insani just ran out of time in a clutch. They attempted to come back in the second half, but it didn't happen. Map 2 was even more ironic. MIBR won the first half 10-2, but then they completely threw it away, allowing VP to come back and take the map in overtimes. Interestingly, in the OTs, the Brazilians managed to win more than 2 rounds on the T side, while previously it was just too rough for them. Afterwards, some fans challenged MIBR to a rematch, saying, "Sunday the 10th of August, we'll play you, give you a 6-round head start, and the winner gets to join the team for the next tournament." Fun, but also scary for the main players of MIBR, right? The second match of day 2 started off pretty spicy. TNL, a new addition to the HLTV top teams led by Kane, chose to go up against NAVI, Kane's previous team, by the way. TNL kicked things off on Ancient, their pick, and they surprised everyone. First, they took the opening 3 rounds, but NAVI responded with almost 7 straight, winning the momentum their way. After the side switch, NAVI were in control early, but TNL pulled off a huge comeback, winning 6 in a row and pushing the map to overtimes, where they stole the first map from NAVI. The emotions were high, TNL were celebrating hard, like they already won the series, while NAVI's voice comms sounded like they were ready to tear each other apart over a failed smoke.
Who smoked cave, guys?
I smoked cave. I didn't know Miha went. I didn't guess it was at the same time.
Yeah, but for 3-1, can we focus on this, guys? We said careful cave. Nobody cares.
Thankfully for Navi, the next map was a complete stomp for TNL. Navi just rolled over Kane's team without breaking a sweat. The decider, Mirage, turned out to be a bit more competitive. Navi led for most of the first half, but TNL managed to bounce back, so it was 7-5 in favor of Navi. After the switch, Kane's team really tried to mount another comeback, but Navi didn't let it slip. Cool, calm, and collected, they secured the series. The third match of day 2 featured Spirit vs Passion UA. As zweih said before the game, Spirit were likely picked due to their map pool and recent roster changes, so let's see how that played out. It started on Dust 2, Spirit's pick, and they looked confidently early on, easily closing out the first half 8-4, but once they moved to the CT side, things fell apart. Passion UA took nearly 9 rounds on their T side, while Spirit couldn't come up with any answers, losing their own map pick. And here's the craziest part, it was the first time in almost 200 days that Spirit dropped a map to a team outside the top 30. And ironically, that team was also Passion UA, though with a different lineup. Apparently, the loss lit a fire under Spirit, because the next map, they went full throttle. In round 2, Shiro defused the C4 in a clutch situation without a smoke or a kit, and in the very next round, zweih clutched a 1v2. So the first half ended 11-1 in Spirit's favor. Passion UA managed to win the pistol round and the force buy in the second half, but it wasn't nearly enough to mount any sort of a comeback. On the decider Ancient, it was more of the same. Spirit took the first half 9-3 and then simply closed it out after the side switch, no problem. The most ironic part is that Chopper was Spirit's top fragger on the final map, while Donk was just chilling at the bottom of the scoreboard. But hey, maybe Daniil was just giving them a bit of a head start. Or Chopper asked to carry the game for once. The final match of day 2 was Astralis vs Rare Atom. The Chinese team started off by losing their own map pick 1-13, and then followed it up by another loss on Overpass. To be honest, exactly what everyone expected. In the end, day 2 went without any major upsets, unless you count Navi and Spirit each dropping a map to underdogs. So none of the top teams have been knocked out yet. Day 3 opened with BIG versus FURIA, and it looked like the Born in Germany were trying to cosplay Rare Atom because they lost their own map pick 2-13. On FURIA's pick, they were slightly better and even managed to win at least 8 rounds, but ultimately they still came came up short. We remind you that BIG's management previously refused to make any roster changes, stating that they still trust the players, despite the fact that the results have been absolutely dire. Their last win came back during Fissure Playground 1, where they managed to beat Heroic. The third match of the day was Ninjas in Pyjamas vs Pain. It kicked off on Ancient, an IP's pick, and as has become tradition, the first half ended in a one-sided stump, but this time in favor of Pain. In the second half, the Ninjas tried to come back, but they couldn't put together a streak longer than 2 rounds, so the first map went to Pain. On Dust 2, Pain's pick, the game was much closer. The first half was back and forth, ending with a tight 6-6. In the second half, the match remained tight. Pain even pulled ahead at one point, but Ninjas in Pyjamas gathered themselves towards the end, winning nearly 5 straight rounds and eventually stealing their opponent's map pick. The decider was Nuke, and it started with Ninjas in Pyjamas taking the first 3 rounds on T-side. But once Pain had the money, they won 9 straight, taking full control. In the second half, Ninjas began to fight back. They won round after round, and all of a sudden it was 11-12. Although in the final round, Shush was left in a 1v3 and he just couldn't pull it off. So the Brazilians took the win. And the final match of the day was Fnatic vs Legacy, and honestly it went pretty much by the book, starting with Fnatic picking Ancient and losing it 2-13. The second map though was a bit more interesting. Legacy started with 3 straight rounds but then gave up 8 in a row on their own pick on the T side, which they had previously used to beat Vitality at the Major in Austin. They tried to come back on City side and almost pulled it off, but in the end the match went to the third map. There Fnatic started strong, taking 3 rounds in a row, but then gave up 5, and the first half ended in a tie. In the second half, the Brazilians just won almost every round, and there's nothing honestly to show you. I mean, Fnatic tried to respond towards the end, but it wasn't enough. So, over the course of all 3 days, not a single major upset happened, and the favorites remained the favorites. Well, that's all for today, my friends. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button, to follow our channel, and drop by in the comments below, because it helps us develop a lot. Now, I'm not saying goodbye for a long time. See you soon.